When most people picture war, they think of bullets, tanks, and trenches. But on the frozen fronts of World War II, one of the deadliest enemies wasn't holding a rifle. It was the ground itself. The cold was a silent killer, creeping in through boots, biting through coats, and turning a night's rest into a battle for survival. On the Eastern Front, in the Ardennes, and across countless winter campaigns, soldiers didn't just fight each other. They fought the ice, the wind, and the kind of cold that could kill as surely as a bullet. And to survive, they had to improvise. Frozen soil was like stone. Standard entrenching tools bent, snapped, or simply scraped uselessly across the top layer. So soldiers adapted however they could. Instead of digging proper foxholes, they chipped out shallow depressions just enough to lie low, then lined them with planks, scavenged boards, or branches stolen from ruined barns. That thin layer of wood could mean the difference between waking up frostbitten or being able to march at dawn. When luck brought them near farms, straw and hay became life-saving treasures. Piled beneath a coat or blanket, they trapped warm air and stopped the cold from leaching heat straight from the body. Men risked enemy fire just to raid haystacks, returning to their lines with armfuls of insulation that kept them alive through the night. Others turned to fire not for warmth, but to thaw the ground. They built small, controlled blazes right where they needed to dig, letting the heat soften the upper layer of frozen earth. When the fire died, they scraped out the loosened soil and carved out something resembling a shelter. It was dangerous, wasteful, and it revealed their position. But sometimes, it was the only way to get even a few inches of protection. Deep in the forests, soldiers learned to rely on nature itself. Fir and spruce boughs were cut and woven into makeshift beds. The needles lifted the body just high enough off the ice to slow the bleeding of heat. Finnish troops mastered this technique during the Winter War, and soon, German, Soviet, and other armies copied it simply because it worked. Sometimes the most effective survival trick was the simplest. Huddling together, 3 or 4 soldiers packed tight inside a small shelter, sharing warmth, despite soaked clothes, shivering bodies, and the awkward closeness. It wasn't dignified, and it wasn't comfortable, but it kept men alive when temperatures crashed far below freezing. In rural regions, even manure piles became a surprising resource. Farmers had long known that compost generates heat, and desperate soldiers borrowed the idea, mixing manure with soil and packing it beneath bedding or along the walls of their dugouts. It smelled awful, but it worked, and a few degrees of warmth could be the difference between life and death. Where deeper dugouts could be carved into hillsides or ruined buildings, soldiers built improvised wooden floors, broken doors, splintered boards, even flattened ration tins, anything that kept their bodies off direct ground. Contact was precious. Veterans later said that a thin plank of wood under their sleeping spot felt like a luxury equal to a hot meal. Heated stones were another ancient trick brought back to life on the battlefield. Men warmed rocks or bricks in a fire, wrapped them in cloth, and tucked them beneath blankets or near their feet. In the frigid nights of the Eastern Front, a warm stone under a coat could feel like a small miracle. Improvised layering became another universal survival habit. Soldiers stuffed newspapers, cardboard, and rags inside their jackets, sleeves, and boots. It made them stiff and awkward, but that extra insulation slowed the cold from sinking into their bones. By 1942, even military manuals quietly suggested this trick when proper winter gear couldn't be supplied. Feet were the most vulnerable of all. Frostbite crippled thousands, and soldiers invented countless ways to keep their boots off the frozen ground while sleeping. Some built crude stands. Others put their heels on mess tins or bundled gear. Even lifting the feet just an inch off the ice could prevent a soldier from waking up unable to walk. These hacks, simple, rough, and sometimes shocking, revealed the ingenuity and sheer willpower of soldiers trapped in frozen battlefields. Frozen ground wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a killer. And to survive, men borrowed folk wisdom, rural tricks, and battlefield inventions from one another. German soldiers stole hay the same way Soviet soldiers did. Americans in the Ardennes lined their foxholes with evergreen boughs taken straight from Finnish techniques. The cold erased nationalities. What mattered was staying alive. Even today, winter survival training still uses many of these same principles. Pine bough beds still insulate. Heated stones still work. Paper still makes an emergency insulating layer. These tricks weren't born in classrooms or military academies, they were born in suffering, whispered from man to man under the cover of darkness, and remembered for one reason: because they worked. And by keeping these stories alive, we remember not just the battles, but the resilience, the grit, and the resourcefulness of the men who endured the unimaginable.